let's just examine firstly the concept of family. And right now, I just want to say I'm not currently fighting with my family, and you might or might not be. But there's many family stressors that can stress you out. So let me give you a few examples which you might resonate with. So yesterday, after I come home from reservist, my wife tells me, well, she told me 2 hours in advance actually, that she's meeting a friend who came down from overseas to go out for dinner. It was their last night here. And I had actually planned a very relaxing evening. And the reason why I planned a relaxing evening, you can probably tell that from my tone. It's because I'm exhausted. So the reason why I planned that relaxing evening was to relax. But because she's my wife and because we're in love and so on and so forth, I said, yeah, sure, of course, I'll drive you to Orchard Road. I mean, I'll ride on the bike, which is even more tiring, I believe, because you got to be more alert than in a car to not die. Then we had dinner. They were a lovely couple, very sisterly, very brotherly, great woman, great man. I probably made a couple of friends for life, but then I also made myself really tired because I got to wake up at 6:30 a.m. to come to this army thing and, to do my reservist. And I give myself bad mental health today and lack of productivity. So do I want like friends for life or do I want productivity today? So we got to decide, right? And that was a gamble. I had no way of knowing if they'd be nice people. They could have been they could have been a bunch of shitty people, but they weren't. They were nice. So the gamble paid off in a sense. But it was not like I went there with any expectations to be friends. I just went there to ferry my wife to this place after work. We had a dinner, which wasn't fantastic, not the healthiest. And because I'd made a commitment to start exercising again, because I had not exercised for over a week, because of my cousins who were in town, and I'll tell you more about that story. It's not their fault, but I'm telling you about the shitty choices I made. And you're probably making because you think you love your family, which you probably do, but it leaves your life in ruins. So after I came home from yesterday's outing, I decided to go for a walk downstairs in the park. Had a wild boar running around on my usual nature route in a very scared way. And I imagined that could have been a big cat or a wild dog or a snake that was chasing it around. So I quickly got out of that route and went to a more crowded route along the main road with the traffic and all that. And then I came back later and that was already 11:30 p.m. Then I had a shower and I realized even after that I was still too wired up from the day to sleep. So I switched on my hard drive and I watched this old TV show called My Wife and Kids, which I think we used to watch on Nickelodeon. It's not like it's some great show where I learn a lot or anything. It's just comedy, and comedy helps me to relax. So I watched that and I slept at about 12. But I've been doing this 12:30 to 6:30 a.m. thing for days on end now, and for this Army National Service, and that's making me really, really exhausted because I also do the Army work and my own work in the day. That's one example. Another example was we had just started sleeping early and waking up early. I just started waking up at about 6:30 a.m., 5:30 a.m., 4:30 a.m. even, in tune with the spiritual and cycles and the circadian rhythm. But my body, that entire cycle was thrown out of whack after my cousins arrived, which was 2 weeks ago now. So my schedule's really been off for 2 weeks. And this guy just has to decide to talk right next to me where I'm making a video. How wonderful. I'll probably try and shift locations. Okay, this is pretty good. I quite like the clouds. So although you can't see me really clearly, it's pretty good. So the next thing that happened is my schedule got really, really far thrown off because my cousins who came down from India, they like to sleep late and wake up late. Or maybe that's because they were on holiday. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what their schedule is in India. But see, the bottom line is that because they're your family, you love them, right? I do. So you want to spend time with them, you want to show them a good time and so on. So when I did that, naturally I would like to spend my whole day with them, and then naturally my schedule would have to follow theirs because I wouldn't want to, they're not here to visit me, they're here to have a holiday. So I wouldn't want to tell them like, oh, I eat at 5:30, so let's stop our shopping and let's go eat. That would be silly, right? Because then we'd have 6 different meal times in the day like this. If it was breakfast, lunch, dinner, we would have to have 6 stops throughout the day because there's two of us, me and them. So that's kind of stupid. So we didn't do that. So I followed their schedule, obviously. So that's another example of loving someone, but then messing up your own life. Because of that, I wasn't able to exercise. Because for those nights, for example, that I had the national service, I would come home from national service and instead of exercising, I would go spend time with them and eat a huge ass meal, which just makes me fat. So how does that help me? It doesn't help me at all. It screws up my health. It screws up my life. Because if you're not healthy, then what are you? So that's that. And then when I was not having the national service, when they came here before it started, that kind of messed it up too, because we would spend time with them till late night. So then there's no way after that late night I can wake up at like 5:30 a.m. and exercise. If I did that, I'd just get sick. And so I'd wake up late too. And then the moment we wake up, their plan of holidaying would start. And there's no time to exercise again. And there's no time for health. There's no time for my own business. There's nothing. So, and the schedule was not set by me. It's not like we discussed like, oh, these are the weeks I'll be free to take you guys out. They, of course, came when they wanted to come. It's their holiday, obviously. But because you love your family, you share your time with them when they come, despite what your schedules are. And again, your life gets messed up. So now I've given you guys two examples. My wife from yesterday night's outing, my family, my cousins coming from overseas. Now let's talk about parents. And these are just my examples. I'm not saying any of these people are evil or anything. They're being completely normal. And honestly, I'm being completely normal too. But I'm here to propose that being completely normal might not be the best thing for your life. So you guys might want to think about that. So my parents, obviously they have their own sets of problems in life. They live in two different countries right now because my mom has a job overseas and my dad is in Singapore. And so also my mom has another family member who's not doing too well health-wise overseas. And this is all normal family stuff. Everyone has these kind of issues. But the issue with that is when you're, let's say, spending time with someone who's a very different belief system than you. In this case, my parents, obviously from a different generation. Very normal, very expected, but that's what it is. So if I've decided that my day is going to go a certain way, and imagine I'm doing 6 things in my day that a different generation would completely not understand. If I think, okay, I'll go spend 15 minutes having tea with my mom, and it'll be a nice, relaxing experience for the both of us, no way in hell that's going to happen. Because when I start explaining in those 15 minutes the 6 things I did that day, they completely fly over the head of that generation and they will question every single thing and wonder why. And even if they're not questioning you, like interrogating, you still have to explain everything to them. So instead of a relaxing time, it becomes a chaotic time. So there's that. So really we have to start to ask ourselves, and even the national service side of things, and I'm not scared to speak about this publicly because these are my feelings. I'm not a minister, I'm not a politician, I don't claim to know how the government runs their business or comment on that because I have no idea. What I do have an idea about is my life and my body and my health. So, for example, making someone like me who has a daughter who's only 3 and who might not sleep very well through the night and hence keep us up and hence we don't get sleep, to make us wake up at 6:30 a.m. and that's the latest possible because I ride a bike so I can get here quick. But I imagine for someone who takes a bus to reach here at 8, it's reasonable to say they would have to wake up at 6. So 6 to 7 to get ready, 7 to 8 to travel here. And then it's very regimental because it's the military. So it's like, oh, why didn't you reach at 8? Why did you reach at 8:05? You're late. It's a grown man. Putting a grown man through that. Yes, again, like I said, I don't know how the government runs their defense system, or I don't claim to know, but I hope that they know what they're doing. And if they do, then that means that a defense force is important. And if it is, then that's why they're sending us to national service, right? It's logical. However, if our vocations or jobs are not time sensitive, then couldn't we arrange something better for fathers, for example, who have young kids? Let them report at 10. What's the big deal? If there's really that much work, then they can be sent home late. It's fine. But at least they don't have to drag themselves out of bed before their bodies got optimal rest and spoil their health. Now that makes no sense whatsoever, does it? From a health perspective, and I'm a holistic health coach, so I can tell you that it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So again, my choice. Choose to stay in a country which has this kind of conscription service, then and you do all these other family things after that, then you're really forcing yourself to screw up your health. Of course, the government would say, well, who asked you to sleep at 12:30? If you know you got to wake up at 6:30, common sense would say you sleep at 9 or 8 or 9:30, right? You get a good solid 8-9 hours of sleep. But again, that's not really possible with the time you let us go in the middle of our day jobs and our businesses, because our businesses still have to run. So then if we trace backwards, what's caused all this, the cause is wanting to remain in the country. Because anyone you talk to from another country will say, well, you're choosing to remain there, aren't you? Well, some of us have moved out or whatever. We've picked a country where we don't have to go through stuff like this. So again, it's a choice. So again, here's what I'm trying to tell you guys in this video is the choices we're making. We may say things like, it's because I love my country, because I love my wife, because I love my husband, because I love my kids, because I love my parents. The question I want to ask is, how long are you going to keep messing up your life and your health and remain unhappy and unsatisfied inside because you love someone? What kind of love is that? So that's something for you guys to think about. It's an open-ended question. There's no right or wrong. As with all things in the universe, there's only action and reaction. This is Zephyr signing off. For those of you who are here for the first time and you enjoyed this, you're like, who is this guy? What does he do? I am a spiritual life coach. I consult privately for private clients. I write a blog. I have a YouTube channel, the one you're watching right now. I have a Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and so on. And I'm also have a background in the music space. Apple Music featured my track Jungles, the dance mix this year. I release tracks at will. It's not on a set schedule. It's based on whenever I feel like releasing tracks. It's a tool for my self-expression. Now I've started creating designs. I also have hobbies like trading card games and sports and so on. I also have a health coaching course out, which right now is only available privately, but eventually will be automated and put on my website as a video course for you guys to buy. So if you enjoyed this video, please support this channel by clicking like. Please share this video with your friends, and please enjoy the rest of the videos popping up around my head around now. Thanks so much, and have a lovely day ahead. Bye-bye. I love you guys.